What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, starting a new series, got a special request. We're gonna be doing some business, so I wanted to decide to start a little series. I had a channel sent me these requests, and I was like, you know what, I can make a series out of these, learning some business. Shout out to Business Chronicles. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to the channel. Got some very interesting stuff about some interesting people, whether it's like we have here Howard Hughes when it comes to film producing. I seen some with Mark Cuban and some other guys that are millionaires, but these are definitely interesting facts in the business world. And we got, like I said, we got Howard Hughes, richest person in the world. I don't even think I ever heard of this man. Film producer to flying and making planes. Like, went from producing to flying planes and making planes, and we know engineering is a major thing, planes is a major thing. So y'all go follow them. Like I said, subscribe to their channel for more interesting facts. Hey, give this video a thumbs up because I already know it's gonna be interesting just from the looks at it. Like that's a pretty interesting title, you know what I'm saying? But we finna jump into this. Hit that subscribe button, send out more recommendations.
Howard Hughes was the richest person in the world from 1960 until his death in 1976.
Dang.
During his childhood, his father took him on a ride on a Curtiss seaplane, from where Hughes got the interest in planes and aviation that continued till his death. He survived 4 airplane accidents during his lifetime.
What?
But in 1976, at the age of 70, he died while flying from Acapulco to Houston. He was famous for his reclusiveness. Who knows if his death was due to suicide or genuine crash?
I mean, if he got into 4 crashes before his death, or was the 4th crash his death? Because that is wild. Like, I ain't gonna lie. After 1, I would be like, you know what? I don't know about planes no more. After 2, that would have been like, that's it. Nope, nada. But 4, my guy was definitely passionate about aircraft, and maybe he was testing them out, trying to get it right,
He had a fortune of over $2.5 billion, which is equal to $11 billion today.
Ooh.
He has no heirs, but still over 400 people claim to get some share of his wealth. In the end, the court decided that the paternal heirs of Hughes' vast wealth were 3 granddaughters of Hughes' uncle, Rupert Hughes, and 2 of the uncle's stepchildren.
Wow.
There was a movie called Catch Me If You Can, which starred Leonardo DiCaprio and was based on real-life character Frank Abagnale. Though the character looked fictional. But interestingly, Frank Abagnale was a real man who left home at an early age and impersonated a pilot. He even flew planes and had no training. He also impersonated a doctor, did surgeries, etc.
What?
He even passed the Louisiana State Bar exam and became an attorney. Though Frank Abagnale impersonated many careers, but our guy Howard Hughes was no imposter. At the age of 18, he was already running a big company which inherited from his father. He used the proceeds from the company to finance and produce movies.
Wow.
Among such movies, he produced and directed the most expensive movie of the time, known as Hell's Angels. He spent around $3.5 million in 1926, which he was never able to recover from the ticket sales.
That type of money existed like that back then? That's insane.
He rented over 200 planes for the movie and learned to fly the planes.
Oh my gosh.
In 1935, he became the fastest pilot and made airspeed record of 352 miles per hour. Besides flying planes, he also engineered and designed several planes, including H-4 Hercules. In his early 20s, Howard Hughes once said, "My first objective is to become the world's #1 golfer. Second, the top aviator. And third, I want to become the world's most famous motion picture producer. Then I want you to make me the richest man in the world."
Dang.
Want to know how Howard Hughes has done that all? Watch the full video. Howard Hughes, richest person in the world, film producer to flying and making planes. We at Business Chronicles,
I mean, it sounds like Howard is definitely one of those persons, like, whatever you want to be in this world, you can be. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
Tell the stories of extraordinarily successful people. Please subscribe to our channel to help us in making more videos. In 1905, Howard Hughes was born in Houston to a very rich family.
Houston.
His father, Howard Hughes Sr., was a well-established entrepreneur and investor of his time who owned a company called the Hughes Tool Company. From his early childhood, Hughes had an unwavering interest in technology and science. As he had an efficient upbringing from her highly educated mother and entrepreneur father, Hughes got all the support he needed as a child.
That's good.
At the age of 11, he ended up innovating the first wireless radio transmitter in the history of Houston. Later on, he became the first licensed ham radio operator in Houston.
Dang, this guy does it all.
It is essential to note here that Hughes was the first child to secure this designation in the history of the United States. Thus, as Hughes grew up, his passion for innovation also increased along with his age. At the age of 12, he was featured in an American magazine as the first innovator of a motorized bicycle.
Wow.
In 1921, Hughes attended Fessenden School, where he developed a passion for aviation, engineering, and mathematics, along with his childhood interest in science and technology. Hughes was a different student. The Times records the headmaster of Fessenden School saying, he would take additional classes of engineering and would undergo extra courses of engineering.
Man, I do remember them days I was in engineering. I started off college in engineering, and like, it's some interesting stuff. Like, it is definitely a lot of science, a lot of math. Not as like a lot as you think, but it's kind of, of course you're going to have those separate science and math class, but it's kind of incorporated in certain things that you do. It depends on, like, with my certain classes, there are some classes that do a bunch of more like written work, and there's some you did a little math, science. It wasn't too much, but it's some work. It's some work. Interest. Definitely need the mind for it.
When Hughes was applying for a graduate degree at Rice University,
Not Rice.
His mother passed away.
Oh, dang.
Soon after, in 1924, his father also died after suffering a series of chronic diseases. This was the turning point in the life of Hughes, as his father was his role model. Following the tragic death of his father, Hughes withdrew his application from Rice University and decided to kick off his professional life. Howard Hughes got the controlling share of Hughes Tool Company, and he used the profits of company to fund new ventures such as Hollywood. Unlike his childhood interests, Hughes opted for a varyingly different early career, Hollywood. In 1928, he got an offer from the then Hollywood creme de la creme, Ralph Graves, to finance his film. Thus, Hughes kicked off his career in Hollywood by producing and financing his first film, Swell Hogan. In 1927, Hughes produced and financed another film, Everybody's Acting, followed by the 1928 film, The Arabian Night. This film became widely successful and won the Academy Award for Best Director in the following year. Hughes went on to produce another two super hit films, The Rackets and The Front Page, in 1930.
Dang, he was out here producing.
Were financially successful and were nominated for the Academy in the 1930s. Likewise, Hughes also starred in other films like Scarface and The Outlaw.
Not Scarface.
The latter film featured the then popular Hollywood actress Jane Russell. In 1940, Hughes decided
it seemed like filmmaking and film producing was going good for him.
To own either partial or whole ownership of RKO companies. By that time, RKO was a giant company that had RKO Pictures, RKO Theaters, RKO Radio Network, RKO Studios, and a number of other giant chains. After partially owning RKO companies for $8.9 million in 1948, Hughes struggled with the management of RKO. In the initial years, the RKO companies lost its year-over-year revenue. However, Hughes succeeded in getting the company back on track in 1952. Consequently, the RKO companies retrieved the fame that it had previously throughout the United States. Nevertheless, Hughes owned the entire RKO in 1954 after purchasing it for $24 million. This was the time—
And this said a check. Hey, he wrote a check to them? Oh my gosh. Hey, I wish I had $23.5 million in the bank.
1954 after purchasing it for $24 million. This was the time when Hughes was at the apex of his success as the sole owner of the major Hollywood in the US. During this time, his net worth doubled, his fame increased, and Hughes became one of the leading business tycoons in the United States. While Hughes's net worth was staggering as he owned the RKO companies, he did not stop there. Instead, he switched to real estate to double up his wealth. According to Forbes, the land was one of the essential components of Hughes's wealth. The
Who
report
is this? Oh, that's Warren
suggests
Buffett.
that Hughes owned land in cities like Las Vegas and Culver City.
Oh,
He owned 25,000 acres in Las Vegas and
Ooh.
roughly 12,000 acres in Culver City. Likewise,
Smart.
he also bought the popular air terminal in North Las Vegas. However, it is
Dang.
essential to note here that Hughes's real estate business functioned under the tree of his giant company, Howard Hughes Corporation. This was a massive company with
Oh my
$72 million in annual revenue that had
Dang.
many companies under it. Hughes Tool Company is the foremost among them. As the chief of Howard Hughes Corporation, Hughes was widely successful in the late 1960s and early 1970s.
Dang.
As we mentioned earlier, Hughes had an unwavering passion from his early childhood. He was proactive about jets and flying during his school days.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Like, if I had that money and stuff, I mean, I think it makes it easier for you to, go out and start jumping into different things. Having money does open a lot of doors. It makes you able to do a lot of things. But man, I mean, went from flying planes. I feel like the film industry was working, and I mean, he had a lot. He probably still, I mean, there's probably still a lot of stuff under his name now. I don't know if his corporation, his business is still like functioning and running. I don't know if he had kids. I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna get into all that. But dang, my guy definitely had money.
From his early childhood, he was proactive about jets and flying during his school days. Similarly, he had also taken courses in professional training from pilots at the age of 20. Thus, as he grew and his business flourished, Hughes did not forget that childhood passion. Hughes sustained his passion for aircraft and flew throughout the world as a pilot. Sustaining his passion for aircraft, Hughes ended up owning his aviation company, Hughes Aircraft.
Smart.
This flight company was operating at the Glendale Airport, California. By that time, it was the most technologically advanced aviation company not only in California but throughout the US. Thus, it goes without saying that Hughes Aircraft was another major company that added up to the growing wealth of Hughes. Apart from owning an aircraft company that was popular throughout the United States, Hughes also custom-designed aircraft for his own aviation. Thus, he gained wide popularity as an aviation enthusiast. Nevertheless, Hughes survived as many as 4 deadly plane crashes throughout his life. Maintaining his passion for aviation, Hughes also holds the world record for the highest plane speed.
Wow.
He flew his custom-made plane for 566 kilometers per hour over Santa Ana, California.
That is wild to me. He survived 4 plane crashes. That is, oh my gosh. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't. But he kept going. I feel like he was trying to figure something out with these planes, and I mean, nowadays they say a plane. I mean, they do say planes are safer. They're safer than cars. It's safer to be in a plane than a car.
Hughes Tool Company, Hughes sold novel and major aircraft throughout the country. Some of the then popular aircraft that Hughes Tool Company sold include Boeing 307 and Boeing 707. The Hughes Aircraft and the Hughes Tool Company competed with the then highly popular airlines like Pan American World Airways, American Airlines, and United Airlines. Apart from solely owning giant companies that had billions of dollars in revenue, Hughes was also interested in business partnerships. One of the best partnerships that Hughes had during his business career was in collaboration with David Charney. Charney was the then business tycoon who had many successful and established businesses throughout the company. Thus, the collaboration of Hughes and Charney was another source that doubled the wealth of Hughes. Similarly, this partnership also taught Hughes lots of business lessons and made him acquainted with other business gurus. One of the great deals that Charney and Hughes made was the Air West buyout. By then, Air West was the most contested and controversial portfolio that entrepreneurs were reluctant to invest in. Though this Charney-Hughes partnership was initially in loss, it ended up becoming the great profitable deal that Charney and Hughes ever made.
Ain't nothing like collaboration and partnerships, man. Like, there are great things that can happen with partnerships. Never forget that. You can get so far by yourself, but you can get even further with somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
As Hughes had gained a staggering wealth and wide popularity, he had a generous heart. Throughout his life, he had many anthropological initiatives that aimed at helping the poor and needy people. Every year, he would dedicate a decent portion of his wealth to charities and donations. According to Forbes, Hughes had pledged half of Hughes was reported to have donated $4 million.
Oh my God.
His charities and donations revolved around helping underprivileged children in the US and Africa, resolving political issues and sustainability of the planet.
That's good, that's good.
Perhaps the most essential anthropological work of Hughes is the foundation of Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Originally launched in 1953
I feel like
in Miami,
I heard of this.
medical institute is currently operating in Chevy Chase, Maryland. In its essence, Howard Hughes Medical Institute is the brainchild of his interest in science.
Wow.
This medical institute is dedicated to biomedical research. The institute hails numerous scientists and researchers every year that have a quest for understanding human biology. Reports suggest that Hughes was struggling with taxes and IRS in the 1950s. To turn his wealth into assets, Hughes decided to turn half of the Hughes aircraft into an anthropological business. So he invested $18 million to found Howard Hughes Medical Institute.
Oh man.
The institute was equipped with all the advanced tools for medical research. Today, the institute is still operational and offers a worthwhile opportunity for scientists and medical researchers. Howard Hughes was lucky enough to inherit a multi-billion-dollar company, Hughes Tool Company. He was smart enough to use the funds to do what he wanted. He hired Noah Dietrich, who was a brilliant manager, and managed Hughes Tool Company, while Hughes can establish his own business empire. As once he said, "The tool company was my father's success and it always will be."
That's good.
He used the proceeds to start very successful ventures, which made him the richest and most famous person of the time. Thank you for watching.
Man, that was definitely interesting and mind-blowing. I think outside for him being one of the richest people in the world, like surviving 4 plane crashes is something different. Like that definitely nowadays, like if he would have made it now, he probably would have been even richer just telling that story. Like, man, I don't know how I would have did it or made it after 4 plane crashes. That's crazy, but definitely appreciate Business Chronicles. Like I said, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Y'all see I subscribe right there. Make sure y'all give them a subscription. Y'all see the interesting stuff on here. John Rockefeller. You got Jerry Jones. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know I'm in Texas. Support your boy in Texas too. I gotta check out the Jerry Jones, you know, cause Cowboy Stadium, if you haven't been, it's amazing. It's amazing. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but it's amazing. But definitely enjoy this information about Howard Hughes. Man, money allows you to do a lot of things. I can tell you that. Like, and one thing he did was have a lot of money, and I feel like he did use it for a good cause. Cause I feel like everything nowadays is very efficient, you know. So, and it could be because of Howard Hughes. But guys, that's all I have for this video. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, send down those recommendations, and y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.